for tuning in. This is Selena and Iman. Together we make You Plus Happy. Each week we bring you someone who challenges us to define success and happiness on our own terms with a dose of laughter. Remember to follow us at You Plus Happy on Instagram, YouTube, and like and subscribe on the podcast. Everything is You Plus Happy. Hi, Iman.
Hi, Selena.
How are you?
Good. I'm glad it's the week. Oh, it's the weekend here.
It's the weekend here too, right? Friday's a weekend.
Yeah, going into it.
It's Friday night. So Iman's in Australia and I'm in the States.
Yeah.
As they call it. So it's Saturday where she is. It's Friday where I am.
Yep. Working in different time zones.
So, anything cool this week?
No, I had an interesting conversation with my coworkers out here. So I've been in Australia a few months now, and during COVID, it's not much to do. So we were talking about food, and they were very confused about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. They were like, peanut butter and jelly doesn't go together. It's not called jelly, it's called jam. And very concerned or confused about peanut butter. They're like, how can you eat peanut butter? It was just interesting. And they have this thing called Vegemite out here, which I think is disgusting, but it's like a staple. Yeah, it was just very interesting to be like, wait,
They
you never
don't
had a
have peanut butter.
They have it, but it's not like a go-to. Like, I feel like in the States, everyone has like peanut butter in their house.
But
a lot of people have peanut butter.
That would be interesting to find out. I feel like
let's do a poll. How many people have peanut butter in their house?
Like and subscribe. So comment below. Do you have peanut butter?
And ranch is not a thing.
It shouldn't
ranch
be.
is a big thing.
It shouldn't be.
Ranch is amazing, especially with pizza. But
to differ, I've eaten pizza with you. You do not eat. I've never seen you eat pizza with ranch.
Literally every time I eat pizza.
Day relying on the podcast. Cool. All right. Anyway,
that was my highlight of the week during COVID time.
About ranch and your consumption of it.
What about you? What was your highlight this week?
So my highlight was not much was going on. So my highlight was deleting some emails.
Fun.
I mean, I was out here, and I found an old email and I found a joke, and I would love to share it with you.
Okay.
Ready? Yeah, get ready for this one. Day 7 of quarantine, I started talking to the spider. He seems nice. He's a web designer. Jokes, they really get me. Okay. All right, with that, let's get into the real stuff, you guys. What you came here for, our guest.
So this week, we have the multi-talented Jeffery Martin on the show. Jeffery is author of 12 books, not 11, 12. A contributor to 7 poetry anthologies, a scriptwriter. His first book, Weapon of Choice, won Best Book Poetry at the 2008 New Jersey Beach Book Festival. Last November, he had the honor of interviewing professor and activist Noam Chomsky, and from that experience wrote a book of poems entitled Muse Moments, Poetry Inspired by Noam Chomsky.
And currently, Jeffery Martin is working on both his first novel and a documentary about the influence of Black music on American culture from 1619 to the present day. Mr. Martin also has a podcast called Write Away Podcast, where he and guests discuss writing, the arts, and life experiences, which will be in the show notes where you can find that podcast. He resides in California, but considers himself a citizen of the world. You can follow him on plantmypoetry.com and follow him on Instagram at Jeffrey the Poet. And without further ado,
Jeffery Martin.
Hi.
Hey.
hello.
Hey, can you
Hello,
guys hear?
hello.
Hey. Hey,
Yes.
you got the record button on this time, right?
Yes, both of
This
us.
time, yes.
Both of
We
us.
both
Okay.
do.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. I'm doing good. How you guys feeling? How you ladies feeling?
Good.
Good.
Good. The sun finally
Good.
came out a little bit out here, so that was
Oh,
exciting.
okay. Oh, that's good. Yeah, it's hot out here. I mean, pretty warm.
Thanks for rubbing it in. Thanks.
Yes, it's hot out here too. Look, I'm
Is
doing
it?
that too.
Oh, okay.
All right, we're gonna jump right in. You ready for the interview portion, Mr. Jeffrey?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All
Yeah,
right.
that consists of talking. I'm good at talking, so yeah.
This
Yeah,
is the right
no
thing for
problem.
you then. Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep.
All right. The first question we have is, so how did you get started writing?
Okay. Actually, when I first started, I didn't even know I was writing. Well, maybe I wasn't writing poetry, but anyway, my household, especially as a young kid, it wasn't a really happy household. So what I would do, because I was always really kind of good with words and spelling and stuff like that, so I would just write down how I was feeling, but it was real negative um, stuff. I feel like I want to get out of this house. I hate my life. That kind of negative stuff. But I was like 9 or 10 when I was writing that stuff. And so my stepfather, who I thought was my father at the time, that's a whole nother story. I'll say father because I thought he was my father at the time. He found my writings and he's like, "Why are you writing this negative stuff? Why are you writing all this crazy stuff?" And so it didn't shut me down from writing. I just hid it. I continued to write, but I hid it. And I just kept writing. I've been writing since I was like 10, 9 or 10. And I just stayed with it. And I didn't even know I was writing poetry until like maybe my high school teacher said, Miss Sanders said, "Oh, you have a flair for writing poetry." And I didn't even know I was writing poetry. I was just writing down my thoughts. So, but it started actually with like a third or fourth or fifth grader, just writing out my sadness, really. It started in sadness, to be quite honest with you.
It's so good that you didn't get discouraged though, because I know like a lot of adult, like when you're a
Yeah,
child and an adult that you kind of look up to tells you that's not good, you kind of like
yeah,
get discouraged. I know somebody told me my poetry was
yeah,
bad,
you
and
do.
I ripped up my first notebook. And I'm like, because I
Really?
trusted
Wow.
that person so much, I respected them.
Right.
So that's really good. Like,
That's so sad that they would tell you that. It's so sad. Yeah. I
yeah,
just, I've always felt like I'm not like a really deeply religious person, but I just feel like in my life, I can only speak for me. It's something that has always kind of guided, where I should have done that, just torn it up and forgot about the writing. I didn't. It was like something was always telling me, no, just keep on doing whatever you're doing. And that's what I did. And like when I was a little kid, like you said, somebody discouraged you. I was told in my household, all boys do is play sports. You don't cry, you play sports, and sissies and fags, and that's what he called it. Sissies and fags wrote. So if I had listened to that, I would have never. I'm thinking how ignorant he was because some of the greatest men that have ever walked this planet have been writers. So what is he talking about, sissies and fags? But anyway, it's just so that's where it started out. But something has always been in my life that has pushed me to say, hey, push me past it. And I just continued to do what I did. So that's why I continue writing. That's why writing is so, to me, writing is healing. It's not just writing and putting it on the page for people, but it's actually healing. It's been my therapy. It's been my therapist for all my life, really. And before my daughter was born, I started a journal, and I've been keeping that journal ever since. And it's been like a therapist. But because as a therapist, you only have an hour. But with your journal, you can write in it all day if you want to. And it doesn't say you misspelled anything or you can't say this or you can't say that. So to me, it's been like therapy. So writing will always be, till I go to my grave, the most important form of expression that I can ever have.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I feel like, so what was the point? Because I feel like sometimes we write and it's very personal. It's very, like you said, therapy. So what was the point when
Mm-hmm.
you were like, okay, I'm going to take what I've been putting in these journals for years and allow the world to see it and to get published and to basically allow myself to be vulnerable in front of everyone? Like, what was that point where you were just like, all right, I'm ready to go to the next
Yeah.
level with my writing?
I think, well, the first person to tell me that I was going to be a writer was my fifth grade teacher named Mr. Kwama. Very
Mhm.
first one, he says, "You're good with," he see, I'd come to school, have my head down, probably bruised up a little bit, but he never would speak about that. He would always find something that I did well, and writing was something I did well. And he told me early on, "You're gonna be a writer," and I didn't believe that at that time, but it stayed with me. And so after when I got in high school and teachers were making comments about how well I wrote, then I started saying, "Oh, maybe Mr. Kwame was right." So probably around high school, I started saying, "I'm gonna be a writer one day." And then it took some years for it to happen, but by that time I knew I was going to be a writer. You're a writer whether you get published or not. you know
Mhm.
Publishing just, it puts you out there for more people, which is a beautiful thing. But there's a bunch of writers that went to their graves that never published anything, but they were writers. So
Yeah, so true.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, probably high school was when I decided, oh yeah, I'm gonna definitely write some stuff down. I'm not gonna throw anything. What I would say, if anybody's listening to this, if you are a writer, regardless how old you are or young you are, don't throw it away. You'd be
Yeah.
surprised what you can learn from what that younger person, younger version of yourself wrote down. You'd be really shocked how much you learn from that younger person. Like, wow, I didn't know I thought like that. So yeah, don't throw it away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Mhm.
think too, it's nice to be able to see that growth because there's stuff
Yeah.
that I've written years
Mhm.
ago, and then I look back and I'm like, oh wow, like I've grown so much from that point.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So true. So true.
Was there, you might have already kind of answered this, but was there a time when you doubted yourself and you had to push past like and anything we pursue, there's going to be challenges and obstacles and all that. So how do you deal with that? How do you get past it and keep going?
I don't, that's a really good question. I don't even know if I can answer that one. I don't know how certain things. I don't know what pushed me to keep writing or keep, like, I've always wanted to write. I've always wanted to travel. There's certain things I've always wanted to do. It took a long time for them to come, so I don't know why I didn't get disappointed and just say I'm not going to do it. I have no idea. That's a really good question. I don't know what, and maybe that's those angels I was telling you about. I'm not religious, but it's like this force that I have that if I want to do something, I just do it. I just do it. And I'm not, even when I don't know where it's going to come from or how I'm going to do it, I always feel like I'm going to do it. So I've always had that, whatever that is. I've always had that. The universe gave me that, or God gave me that. I don't, I may put it on the back shelf, but I don't put it out of mind completely. It's always there. I always wanted to travel. Took me 40 years to travel, but I'm traveling now. I always wanted to write. Took me 40 years to publish something, but I'm writing. So all the things that I really wanted to do, I put them on the shelf because sometimes you have to do that. But I never put them completely out of my head. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm. That's interesting. It sounds like you already had that drive in you,
yeah,
to
and
like
didn't
even if
didn't
people
even
are
know.
discouraging you, to kind of
Hmm.
just keep going. That's
Yeah, and I didn't
great to
have a
have.
lot of confidence. Sometimes I was telling somebody this the other day. If I had the confidence that I have now at 20, oh my God, I'd own a small country somewhere. I swear to you. Oh my! If I had like an inkling of this, I didn't even have confidence, and I did it. But if I had confidence of somebody telling me, you can do this, and you're just, if I'd had that constant that I've tried to do with my kids, like, hey, you can do whatever you want to do. If I had somebody just an inkling of that towards me, it'd be scary what I could do. I really feel that. I really feel that. But yeah, that plays a big part too. You can do a lot of things on your own, but it's so much easier when you have somebody that you love and look up to push you along. That makes it so
Mhm.
much more, much easier. Doesn't mean it can't be done, but it's just a lot easier when you have somebody saying, "Yeah, you can do that. You want to do that? Yeah, I believe you can do that." I didn't have that. I try to get that to my kids and anybody I work with, kids I work with. They're not related to me, but I'm never going to discourage a kid. I'm not
Yeah.
going to, I'm never, or discourage anybody because you never know. They may be looking for you to be that push that they need. And you say something discouraging out of fun or out of neglect or not paying attention, and then they stop doing whatever it is they do. So it's really got to be really careful with our words towards people.
Mhm. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that you like to travel. Do you feel like your travels
Yeah.
and the places you've gone and has influenced your writing?
I think so. for sure. You know what? When I first started traveling, I just wanted to get out of the United States. I just wanted to go somewhere because I've always wanted to. Well, as a young kid, we used to go on rides, and what that is on Sundays. This is one thing I really do appreciate my stepfather from. One of the few things that I appreciate from him is on Sundays we go on rides, and we go all over, L.A. And I wouldn't really go far, but it'd be different places. Bel Air one week, San Pedro to the port. We go somewhere, and um, that kind of initiated something in me to want to go places. So when, as a young coming up teenager, I was like, man, I want to see the world at some point. Um, and so when I first started traveling, it was just to do that. But once I traveled the first time, and if something in me changed, and what changed was I didn't feel like I feel like there's such a stigma on black males. Not to play the race thing, but I think it's such a stigma on black males in America. So when I went to other places, I didn't feel that. So traveling for me has not only become like something I like to do, but it's also a way for me to exhale. Because I think being here is even at my age, I still can't walk in stores, but I still feel that people are tentative around me, are afraid around me, and I hate that feeling. So traveling gives me a break from that. So not only is traveling opening my eyes to new adventures and new people and new places, but it also gives me a time to just be a person, just be a human being. And I never feel like that here. That's why I like to travel. So for me, it's for mental health too. It's not just for going places and say I've been those places, but going places. And if somebody don't like me, they don't like me for all the other reasons, but not that skin thing. I'm tired of that. I get so sick of that here, and and you go other places, you don't feel that. You really, at least I didn't feel that. Like I went to China. When I went to China, I thought, oh man, they're gonna be a little bit racist there because I feel it here in California from Asian community. I went to China, they treated me like I was an all-star. I was like, oh my God, this is totally different. So it just, and I'm not saying they don't have their issues, but I felt like a human being. I'm proud to be a black man, but I don't want that to be a stigma. And here it feels like it's a stigma, and I hate that. And I feel bad for the younger cats coming up, you know, they feel that and they can't do anything about it, or they don't know how to express it. I know how to express it at least, and I can write it down or whatever. But for somebody that doesn't know how to express it, they probably do it in a negative way, and they start doing negative things out of that frustration. So traveling for me is holistic. It really is.
And I've heard like that guy who wrote Between the World and Me. I read his book, and I read an article by a black guy, and they both said the same thing that you're saying. When they go to other countries, it's like
Yeah.
a break from
Mm-hmm.
racism. It's like
It is. It
so
is. I'm
there's a
telling you,
consensus.
everybody should. Yeah, no doubt about it. I think, and not just for anybody, any minority, any poor person should travel. But for black people, I say it all the time. Yeah, okay, it's cool to go to school, but put some of that money away and go somewhere. I'm telling you, that's a different kind of education, and to just feel like, oh my God, I don't have this stigma of I'm a black woman, I'm a black man. I get sick of it. I really do. And
Yeah.
I'm older than y'all, so I've been hearing it for a long time, and it hasn't really changed. The only thing that's changed is me, but the situation still hasn't. It's the same thing. I've been hearing it for a long time. We shall overcome, and it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. So
Keep hope alive.
yeah, keep hope alive. Yeah, and we the only one hoping. And you know what? The interesting thing about that too is they always say it's going to take some time. Well, how much time is it going to take? Well, we get that. Well, it'll take some time to, if you want to change things, you can change it overnight. You can change the educational system overnight. It doesn't take 15 years, but all the time, whenever we want something that's going to impact us in a real way, it always takes a long time. It ends up not happening at all. So travel, black people, please.
Advice for the day: travel, especially if you're black.
Yes, yeah, especially. Yep.
So
I guess.
go ahead. I'm sorry, Iman.
No, I was just gonna say, going off of that, what is kind of some advice that you would give to people that are trying to do the same thing that you're doing, or feeling a little bit discouraged with where they're at right now and wanting to, write and express themselves?
You should just do it. I have this saying that I'm gonna put it on a T-shirt. This saying goes, "Don't rush it, just do it." And I think, don't rush it, do it. What I mean by that is, um, you can have people help you along the way, but don't depend on that. I think I was too dependent on that. I was always asking, hey, can you help me type this? Can you? I was always, and then once I broke out of that mindset and said, I'm gonna going and asking for that no, I'm just gonna do it myself. So my advice to people would be, if you want to write, you write. If you want to publish, you publish. You go to a publishing house, and if they don't want to publish it, you self-publish it. But you do it. So don't let no's stop you. To me, no's are inspiration to me, because I've heard so many no's. No's just inspire me. They really do. No's don't disappoint me at all. I'm used to them. So in fact, it's probably good I've heard a lot of no's, because it's initiated something in me to do it myself. So my advice would be, if you want to do something, you do it. Don't wait for somebody's validation or somebody's okay. Do it because you want to do it, and do it yourself if you have to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good
Uh-oh.
advice.
Yeah.
So it's a little different, shifting a little bit, but what is something
Mhm.
you hope people say when you're not in the room? What do you want people to say about you or your work?
Um, One, that he's when he puts his mind to something, he does it. That, and the other is, puts his mind to something, he does it, and he's authentic. He's original. So those two things. Those two
Okay.
things, I would say. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, so I
Oh,
was
okay.
just
Okay.
we're taking it in, taking it all in. So I guess one of the reasons that we started this podcast is really to talk about success and what that looks like um, for different
Mm-hmm.
people. I think society a lot of times has this idea of success. You have to own a whole bunch of things and have a house and a car and make a lot of
Right.
money. So I guess part of what we're doing is redefining success and seeing people who have um,
Mm-hmm.
kind of reached their own level of success, but it's outside of what society considers successful. So I guess what would be your definition or your idea of what success is?
Success, for me, at least at this point, when I was younger, it was I fell into all of that stuff. Like, if you don't have this and you're not comfortable in this way, that wasn't successful. But now I understand that success is really coming into who you are and being comfortable with what you come here with. I think that's, to me, that's, but you have to understand it, though. You can't just, everybody says I'm proud of who I am, but they don't act upon that. But when you really feel like you are given you are given as much to your life as your life is given to you, you're successful. You really are. It has nothing to do with dollars and cents. Because if dollars and cents fixed everything, there wouldn't be any broken people in Bel Air or Hollywood. They would be great. But we know that's not the case. So it has to be more than monetary to find success. And so, and another thing is, success is having morals, not morals like in a religious. I'm not trying to tell anybody what they do as far as that, but having a standard that you're going to go by, and you're not going to live beyond that. I mean, below that standard. You're not going to do things just to get this level of success. You're not going to trade in your morals, or whatever what you have as your standards. You're not going to trade that. And people do that. People do that.
Yeah, that's good advice. I think that's really good advice.
Yeah.
And so you've given us a lot of advice today. But for the last question is though, what would be your biggest, like, if you only could give one piece of advice to anybody, what would it
hmm
be?
One piece of advice: follow follow your heart. That's probably the most important. Follow your heart, because yeah, follow your heart, because if you don't, then you'll end up down the road somewhere, and you'll look in the mirror one day and say, wow, I didn't do anything that I really wanted to do. Everything was guided by what people thought I should do. But if you follow your heart, I don't think you can go wrong. I really don't. I don't think you can go wrong.
So true. I think that like we hear it so much, and I think it goes over people's head. But it's so important. I think it's so important when you follow what's in your heart. You feel like fulfilled, and you feel
Yeah,
complete, and you're not. It's like a bliss
Mhm.
that you can't explain. And I think I
exactly,
know I
exactly.
when you venture and try, like you said, try to please other people, it never works. It never
It
ever
never
works.
works.
It really
No, it
So
never
doesn't.
does.
true.
No, and you're gonna please this person over here, but then this person wants something else. You'll be doing
Yep.
that for, and you know what? The interesting thing too, I'm always talking to young people, and you hear about the peer pressure. Peer pressure does not stop. I don't know why they just concentrate on young people and say, the
Right.
high school is like, well, they're under peer pressure. Never stops. I ride
Mhm.
motorcycles. Well, I don't now because my motorcycle got stolen, but I ride motorcycles. And every time I used to go out with the guys, I was offered something. Hey, man, I got this. Hey, I got that. So peer pressure doesn't stop. So you have to
Yeah.
be strong early on for the rest of your life and say, hey, I'm not going to go with peer pressure, because there's always peer pressure. And if
Yeah.
you're not strong, and I think a lot of people, many people are followers. That's a bad thing. Oh, I should have put that as advice. Many people are followers. And so they just kind of go with the flow. If 99 people in the room are doing it, they're going to do it because 99 people. And you have to be strong and courageous enough to say, well, you know what, it's 99 people that's going to do that, but I don't want to do it, so I'm not going to do it. Even if it ostracizes me, I'm not going to do it. And then on down the road, it pays dividends. It really does. People don't realize that, but it pays dividends to stand on your square. I call it stand on your square. When you stand on your square, it pays dividends on down the road. Maybe not at that point, you're not gonna be the most popular person, but on down the ways, you're gonna be the most respected person because they're gonna be saying, "Man, I remember she stood on that square like years ago and wasn't gonna do it. And now she's here. But if she had done
Mhm.
what everybody else wanted to do, maybe she wouldn't be there." So
And I think it takes people knowing who they are too. A lot of you don't if you don't take the
yeah,
time to know who
yeah,
you are and you're just in society and you're just going with the flow of everything, you don't know
mm-hmm,
you're
mm-hmm.
who society told you to be. So I think
Exactly.
first you have to know yourself, and then it does take so much courage to stand alone. Like it's like
It
Mhm.
it's
does.
one of
It
the
does.
for me it's one of the
It really
hardest
does.
things.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It is. It
Mhm.
really is. And that goes from all aspects of life, from abusing your body to all kind. Yeah. Yeah. It just. Yeah. It takes a lot of courage to do it, but it can be done. It can be done. But people would rather be comfortable than courageous a lot of times,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not easy, and that's why it's like it's not
No.
for the faint of heart. So some
Right.
people might need to like, and you just never know. But it's not an easy road at all to be that
Right, right, right,
person.
right, right, right. Yeah, yeah. You're gonna have to fall.
Yeah.
Maybe some people have to fall before they finally say, "Oh, okay, I
Hmm.
can't do this anymore." Whatever. But yeah, it's hard. It's difficult. It's difficult. It's not always cool to be by yourself.
Hmm.
Sometimes you
And it's
you ostracize
lonely.
yourself. It's lonely
It can
sometimes.
It
get
Yeah,
can be
lonely.
it can be.
lonely
Yeah,
for
it
sure.
can
Hmm.
be. Yeah, it can be. Yeah, it really can be.
That was our last question. But I have another question though. That's not.
Okay,
What
okay.
is your favorite book?
That's a, ooh, that's a hard one. Okay, I'm.
I know it is
Hmm.
hard. I know it is, especially for someone like you. I know
Oh
you
yeah, that's
read a
that
lot.
because yeah, that's all I do is read. But I think the oh, man, that's a very good question.
We stumped
I,
him.
I'll just say, yeah, I'll just say The Jungle by Upton Sinclair.
Okay.
Only
Okay.
because my favorite author is James Baldwin, but I've read so many people. But James Baldwin is my favorite author because he just like gets at the meat of the subject and just tears it up. He's like nobody else. But The Jungle by Upton Sinclair was written. He basically it's about the meat packing industry before FDA was all around. The Food and Drug Administration was around, and they would all kind of stuff were going on in those meat packing places. And his book was so powerful that they changed the laws for the meat packing industry. It's a
Wow.
brilliant book. But he went in there undercover. He worked there. He wrote about that experience and what they were doing. Women that had the jobs, they have to give up sex to keep the job. All kind of abuses were going on in this. And he wrote about it.
Mhm.
It's called The Jungle. And it was so powerful that I'm like, man, I want to write like that. I want to write where people like don't that are detached from that I'm writing about, but because I write it so well, they get right in there. And that's what I did with that book. That book was so good. It was written 100 years before I even knew anything about it. But it was written so well that I felt like I was going through the things that those meatpacking people were doing. It was just powerful. So The Jungle. I'll say The
Mhm.
Jungle. Yeah,
Okay.
by
Oh
Upton
wow.
Sinclair. Yeah.
And I guess just kind of going off of that, have you always been a reader? Like even when you were young, were you always drawn to
No,
books and reading?
no,
Like what kind
no.
of got you into?
That's so interesting. I never saw, and I mean never. And I know people say don't say never because that's a strong word. But I never saw my parents read a book, except the Bible, and they didn't even read that. They just read parts of it. I've never so I didn't grow up in a reading household at all. They could read, but I never saw them reading. I started reading as a 20-year-old. I was in a homeless shelter. Long story short, an older guy asked me why I'm there. I done got in trouble. I mean, I got in some I've had some words with my in-laws, so I don't have anywhere to stay. He says, man, you're too smart to be here. So go to the library. It's open from 12 to 9. You can stay warm because it was freezing out there. And while you're in there, read something about people that have done something with their lives and do something with yours. And for some reason, I don't know why he chose me. That's why I was telling you guys about these angels that I think they've always been in my life. But for some reason, when he said that, a light went on for me, and I've been reading 40 years. I'm never without a book. When I say never without a book, I mean never without a book. I'm with a book right now. I don't know if y'all can see this, but I'm always with a book. Um, it just completely changed my life. And then once I started reading, it changed. It made me a better father, husband, man, human being, just through reading. So yeah, but yeah, as a 20-year-old. So I finished high school and really didn't do any reading until I got out of high school. So
It's
yeah,
interesting because it sounds like throughout your life, it was just maybe that one person that had to
yeah,
say something to kind of keep you going in a certain
yeah.
direction, which
Right,
is
right.
good because I feel like a lot of people don't kind of like, they might hear it, but it goes through in one ear out the other. So it's good that you're
Yeah,
able to kind
yeah,
of just internalize that and be like, oh,
yeah.
like this is the direction I'm heading.
Right. And it was always a stranger. It wasn't anybody related to me. Nobody related to me gave me any words of encouragement. That's sad to say. But nobody related to me gave me
Yeah.
words of encouragement. It was always strangers that gave me the words that have completely transformed my life. Total strangers that I did not know up to that point. Whenever they said what they said, up to that point, I really didn't have a relationship with them. Then they said something. Then we might have developed a relationship later. But they said something at that point, not knowing me, that completely changed my life. I mean, totally.
Wow.
Totally. It was totally strangers. Yeah, total strangers. So I've had an interesting run, but I feel blessed. I wouldn't trade with anybody. Because I couldn't make up my life. I really couldn't. I couldn't make it up. Yeah, I couldn't make it up. So it's been interesting and it's been a blessing.
Yeah. That happens a lot too
Yeah.
with the people closest to you can't see it because it's like if you can do it, then they feel like
Right.
why can't they do it? Like why?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like how are you
Mm-hmm.
stepping out and no one else is stepping out? So that's
Yeah.
common. Not the people is close to
Yeah.
you. And you never know how you're gonna affect somebody. When you said those angels, they probably don't even know they said that to you, like or they remember
No,
that. Like,
exactly. Exactly. So true. I saw that guy, the older guy, he was like 70 or something at that time. I saw him downtown Rochester. This is a true story, I swear to you. I saw him downtown Rochester. He was coming towards me. He was going east, I was going west. So we were gonna come to each other's face and just so I stepped in front of him. I said, sir, I didn't even know his name. To this day, I don't know his name. I stepped in front of him and said, sir, I just want to thank you for giving me that advice, man. I've been reading. He looked at me like I was an alien, stepped around me and kept going. He didn't even take my thank you. He didn't know what he had done, but he completely transformed my life and had no idea what he had done. So that's why I believe in angels.
yeah, yeah.
Whatever controls all this, put something in him that turned a light on in me and completely changed my life. I wouldn't be the person I am now if I hadn't met that old man.
And I
No
think
doubt about
we
it.
are too, because I volunteer with this woman, and I said something to her that I don't remember, like 4 years ago, and she just messaged me on Instagram this week. It was like, I remember when you told me not to worry about something, and what
Mm,
the specific sentence, and I don't even. She was like, I think about that all the time, and I'm like,
wow. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not what you're
Yeah.
saying. That wasn't from me. I don't even remember
Yeah.
saying it. I think it was a message coming through me, but
Through you. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
wasn't me. So it's like I think we're all like can be angels to each other. It's not,
Yeah.
that's
That's a
like
good point. That's a
what you
good
said
point. Yeah.
about
That's so
watching
true.
our words and stuff. Like be careful what we
Yeah.
say and stuff. But yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
remember that I think we're all like that to each other.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so true. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
So that
And I
was.
So
think
true.
it just,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Ma.
no, I was just going to say, just to tag on, like, I think that that speaks to just how powerful our words are.
Yeah,
What's
definitely.
that saying that you say, like, when we were little kids, sticks and stones may hurt my bones,
Break
but
my
words will
bone.
never hurt me. And
Never
I'm
heard.
like,
But that's not true.
words are the
That's not
most
true.
powerful
Words are
thing.
terrible.
I feel like
Like,
it hit.
Words are
physical pain,
terrible.
physical
Yes,
pain
words will
leaves.
stick. Yeah,
Yes.
I used to wish, like when
So,
I get in trouble when I was growing up, I would wish that as much as I hate getting beatings, I would rather my stepfather beat me than talk to me. I'm like, hey, I'll go get the belt, I'll go get the cardboard, I'll go get the switch, I'll go get the clothes hanger. You go, I'd rather you do that. Just don't talk. Because when he talk, it would just kill me inside. I mean, it would
yeah.
literally kill me inside. And before he passed, he apologized. But by that time, I was angry. You know, he passed it when he was 47. He passed, and he only wanted to see me so he could say sorry. But I was so bitter at that time. I said, you know what? You should have everybody around the bed, because he was dying of cancer. Have everybody around the bed and say sorry in front of them, because what you told them about me, they probably still believe that. And he just broke down and cried. I feel bad about that now, but at the time, that's how I felt. But yeah, those words, I'd
Yeah.
much rather get a beating than the words used to just kill me. I mean, it took me years. I mean, I had kids and I was still dealing with them words. So
Yeah.
words are brutal. Words are brutal. Yeah,
Very
they really
true.
are. Yeah.
So that was all of our questions. Do you have anything else
Okay.
to add? Do you want to say anything else?
No, I just thank you for having me on. I hope um somebody can get something out of it. I think so though. I think when you speak out of your experience, it's gonna other human beings are gonna be touched by it. If you to
Yeah.
speak from a real situation, not everybody, because everybody doesn't go through the same thing, but there's somebody to be like, oh my God, I know exactly what he's talking about. I know exactly what she's talking about. So when you speak from a real point, a real place, you're gonna touch people in a real place. So
Yeah.
So true.
yeah,
And people won't feel so alone when they feel like they're doing something different than
exactly.
everyone they know, and then they listen to something like this and like, okay, there's people out there who understand and know what I'm
Yep.
going through.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Definitely. No doubt about it. I mean, words are so. I mean, we could just make this about words. Words are so powerful in a good way and in a bad way. They can start a war or they can end a war. But they're very powerful. You know,
Very true.
they are. Yeah.
Iman, did you have anything else?
No, I think I'm excited to see kind of what's to come next. I'm hoping there's going to be a autobiography soon. If I
I'm
kill
working
life.
on a I'm working on a novel that's kind of about that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm working
Yeah.
on that now, and it's almost writing itself. To be honest with you.
That's
So
Wow.
yeah. Yeah. You know what, when you as a kid, sometimes you'll put things, we kind of push things back. But when you start writing about your life, and I'm sure you two will go through it eventually when you start writing, other things come up. You'd be like, I didn't know I even remembered that. But as you write it, it's like a therapy, but it's like going back, because as kids, to protect the human body is amazing. When we're going through a lot, our brain will say, "Oh, you can't handle that," so it'll push it way back. But as you grow older and you can handle stuff more, then the brain says, oh, okay, I can relax on this. I can give you this information that you couldn't have handled at 15 or 13, but you can handle it now. And so those are kind of things I'm having those conversations with myself now as I'm writing this novel. So some stuff is good and some stuff is really, really sad, but I can deal with it now. I couldn't have wrote this stuff at 20. I really
Yeah.
couldn't have wrote it at 20. Couldn't even touched it. No, touched it at 20. Yeah.
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 Well, thank you so much for sharing your time
Oh
with
yeah.
us, inspiring our
Oh, I
listeners
appreciate it.
to redefine
Yeah.
success for themselves. And thank you for doing this again with, with us.
Oh yeah,
We're
no
not going to
problem.
talk about that. Let's not talk about
No,
that part.
yeah.
Sometimes you got
No,
challenges
it's
and
good.
obstacles you got to
You
overcome.
do. It's all about overcoming, learning from your
Yep,
mistakes.
um,
exactly. No,
so
that's good.
to
Good.
learn more about Jeffery Martin and his work, go to plantmypoetry.com. And can you tell us where we can purchase your books?
It's on Amazon. Just yeah, Amazon.com, and then it's there. Yeah, that's probably the easiest way.
Okay.
Just do Amazon, and just type in Jeffery Martin. There's a few Jeffery Martins, but you'll see me on there. So yeah,
Okay.
that's about it.
We'll put some
Yeah.
links in the show notes.
Yes, we
Oh,
will.
okay. Okay.
And
All right.
As always, thank you, listeners. We could not do this without you. Don't forget to leave a review, and we always appreciate your feedback. I'm excited to see kind of what's next. And remember to subscribe to You Plus Happy and follow us on Instagram at You Plus Happy as well.
We'll see you next week, same time, same place. And remember, our guest says our tagline, which is, when you say our tagline, we'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
We'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours. Is that good?
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Okay. Well, all right. I'm glad I got it right the first time. I thought I was going to stammer. But anyway, okay.
All right. Thank you so much for being on the show.
All right. Take care.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Thank you all. All right. Take care. Good luck to you. All right. Bye.